What's going on, everybody? Lawrence Henderson back with another Hot Takes podcast episode where we're always seeking to lead with humility, openness, and transparency. Y'all, I told y'all, we're on this series. I'm breaking down findings, elements, and impactful nuggets from my dissertation in organizational leadership. This next one is all about mentorship and skill building for long-term engagement within your organizations. Y'all, mentorship for me means a lot of things. It means having access to someone, something that can help you see the landmines of life, personally and professionally. And I would tell you in my life, I've had various versions of a mentor, good, bad, and different. My first one in the military, someone connected with me and were like, hey, you're going down this career path and here's a leader I want you to begin talking to. And me and this leader, we're connected, we're talking, we're vibing. And then I came in with a question for this leader. And the question was, I was thinking about taking a different career path. We shared the same type of career path. He was probably 3-4 levels above me and really great relationship. And I was like, hey, I have this idea. The Army has this new career field that I'm thinking about going into. Thinking that we had been building a great relationship up to this point. He was going to be providing me some advice. Hey, here are some things to look out for. All the rest of those things. I was not ready for the emotional blowback that this leader would have towards me. And it was a very visceral response. And I was taken aback that they were like, well, why would you want to do that? And they began to literally demean me in conversation about me just asking about another career path. Needless to say, relationship ended. And I went on for the next several years without a mentor. I was damaged. I was like, man, I thought we built up a great relationship. I thought it was helping me steer clear of some things. I was actually implementing some things that they had been telling me to do and all the rest of these. And I was like, man, am I bad? Did I suck that bad as a mentee that, man, this guy just abandoned me? But it wasn't about that. It was about mentors are seasonal for you. Are there people that I still have in my life that I met years ago? Yes. But reasons and seasons, I want you all to think about mentoring. Reasons and seasons. Whether it's the current organization you're in or whether it's another opportunity that you have professionally in an association where you're latching onto people who have a skill set, who have an increased understanding and access, and not you pouring all of yourself into it being a long-term relationship. That's why I was shattered. I was like, oh man, this guy's going to be in my career forever. And not. It was only a couple months. And so now when I got my first professional mentor, it was such an amazing idea because now I had already reframed. And thinking about the concept of mentorship again, particularly in its importance on leadership, is it should be a developmental phase and season for your life. So my next mentor that I had when I transitioned out the Army, and I'll never forget the organization I was working at the time, they had an internal Toastmasters club, and I was speaking, not knowing he was corporate sponsor or the executive sponsor in the back of the room. And I never forget, I was one of the only ones that spoke that day, and he came up to me at the end of the meeting and asked me, did I have a mentor? I was like, no, I don't have one. And then he was like, hey, we're going to meet monthly for breakfast, and we're just going to talk about, professional career things, all the rest of that. I was like, all right, cool. And over the next several months, the most amazing thing began to happen with this mentor relationship. My mentor began to open doors for me based on he was listening to me, and he said, hey, I want you to go meet with this person. I want you to go meet with this person. I want you to go sit with this person. I want you to talk to this person. And when you do, this is how you frame conversation. And I mean, accelerated my understanding of how to leverage meaningful relationship. And one of the most amazing things that he described to me, particularly when he was opening doors for me, is how I needed to position and posture myself when I'm being introduced to these people, when I'm sitting down with these people, understanding I'm only in front of them based off of the relational currency that he has earned. When we're talking about mentorship and all the rest of these things, you realize when you're learning and you're engaging in other relationships with other people based on the connection from your mentor, you are in those spaces based off of the relational currency of your mentor. And so when you think about why people mentor, why people don't mentor, that is unconsciously in the back of their minds. Would I want to vouch for you? Do we have enough relational currency as mentor-mentee that I would put myself out there with one of my peers, with a colleague, on your behalf? Oftentimes, most organizations, they talk about training up the mentee, but do they train the mentor? When this came up as a part of research, it was literally almost every single time giving from the perspective of having a mentor who was in a position to freely give, who was prepared to freely give and open up opportunities and open doors, which tells me that that mentor that these individuals were describing in their interviews had access to some understanding of how to build relationships, one, and then two, how to prepare the mentee for the moments. Y'all, I'll never forget my mentor. There was an opportunity to interview for a different role, and he opened up some doors for me to go interview. Y'all, I would love to tell you that I smashed that interview. Yeah, it was one of the worst interviews I'd ever participated in my life. I didn't prepare well. I didn't want the actual role. I just went because he opened the door. Well, y'all, they could tell, because after it was over, they immediately called him. And not even a day or two later, we were having our next mentor session. And y'all, I was preparing to be ridiculed by my mentor. But the most amazing thing happened. He started off with a question, and he was waiting. He said, "How'd it go?" Yeah. I had a couple responses in my head, but I'm glad I went with the one that I actually engaged with. And I said the truth. I said, yeah, it wasn't good. I said, I stunk it up. I think those are words I used. I said, I stunk it up. And he was like, whew, thank you. Whew, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that out loud. Now we can have the real conversation. And y'all, for the next 30 minutes, that our relationship grew even more in that moment of him describing to me that said, hey, being honest, being authentic with what you desire is a must if this is going to work from a mentor-mentee relationship. And after that, he was like, the biggest piece of advice he gave me in that moment was never not show up. Give them all kinds of data about you that informs whether you're right for the position or you're right for another position that they're not even thinking about filling. See, what I did was failed myself multiple times in that moment. I failed for the current role that I was interviewing for, but I didn't even give myself the opportunity for them to hear me be the best candidate for a role they weren't even interviewing for yet. He told me and he gave me the advice, was like, never miss the moment. Be prepared to give the best of you so that even if at the end of the day, they probably would have still went with whoever they were going to offer the job to, because I wasn't qualified. I wasn't up to par for that role, but they now had another data point and an engagement point with me to know, like, and trust, to say we at least like his character, his energy, his expertise, his actual get it done attitude. But I didn't give him that. I gave him some sucky performance that now my mentor is now having to do damage control on because of how I showed up. Y'all, mentorship and skill building for long-term engagement is a contact sport. It's as much about the mentor as it is about the mentee. And how do you develop effective mentor programs? It's offering strategies and initiatives that support both. It's not just the mentor saying to the mentee, hey, come up with the top 5 things you want to talk about every time we're together. It's having mentors who actually have coaching skills. You're not in a position where you like the sound of your voice. And so every time you're sitting down with the mentee, you're just blabbing your mouth and you're not creating space for the mentee to actually say, okay, here's how I'm hearing you. Here's what I actually need in this moment. See, what happens most is most mentors actually feel like I have so much to give and I have to give it to you all, that you fail to actually understand what does the actual mentee need in the moment, in the season of life that they're in. You actually may be giving them too much information. Go figure. I know, again, most of us communicate from where we are, not from where another person is. I say that again, most of us communicate from where we are, but not from where another person is. And so the danger in that, for in the mentor-mentee relationship, if you imagine it like this, when you first started driving your car, which car did you practice in? Probably the car you could pass your driver's exam in, not the Corvette. You didn't practice your driver's test maneuverability in the V12 Corvette. So why should that be your first car? Can you drive? Yes. But can you drive that? Oftentimes, mentees are getting V12 mentor advice. Yes, I can drive. But now I'm driving 25 miles an hour because I'm like, I've never been behind that much power. I don't know what to do with it. In the last several months, I've been talking to my students at Morehouse, and one of my students, and I love and I appreciate that he said this out loud. He said, we always get talked down at that. I wish I had access to all that information, the internet and technology and all the rest of that. I was so grateful for my students to say, yeah, just because we got access to it don't mean we know what to do with it. Same thing with mentor-mentee relationships. The best ones are when we're able to co-create these environments. The other part of this is being able to pair mentors with new employees all the way through mid-career and up. This isn't just about, hey, I'm 2-3 years into an organization and now I get access to the mentor program. Y'all, when I first transitioned out the Army, I needed my mentor within those first 6 months. And I informally fell into finding him. But if it would have been left up to the organization, I wasn't eligible. I wasn't eligible to have a mentor. But that is when I needed him the most, in my first 6 to 12 months inside that organization, because I was running into hurdle after hurdle, obstacle after obstacle, and he was helping me accelerate my mentality about how to be a good employee. He didn't wait till I got my first team of people before I got my first mentor. No, it was when I was at an individual contributor, and now he's helping me gain access to understanding of how I can impact the business, even from where I'm sitting. It changed the game for me, personally and professionally. He didn't know he was catapulting me into more purposeful and meaningful work, which is what I'm doing today within my business. It is because of that early career mentor relationship. And so now as you think about yourself, whatever positions you're in, whether it's a leader and you're thinking about being a mentor to someone else, or you're that leader, say, I'm going to be a mentee and I need a mentor. And so those are the things that I literally am fighting with today as a business owner. So if you or your team, your organization is trying to figure out, okay, how do we build a mentor-mentee program? Y'all reach out to us. We have access to so many consultants, trainers that have helped organizations build effective programs. And if you yourself are looking for a mentor, you're looking for a mentee to do and have a relationship with, reach out to us. We would love to facilitate a Zoom call where we're finding out, all right, we're all our mentors, we're all our mentees, and do breakout sessions. If you're in a local Atlanta area, we would love to have a mixer for mentor-mentee relationships. Y'all reach out to us. We would love to facilitate this engagement. But y'all, this was, again, tip of the iceberg. Mentorship is all about skill building, and it should be a meaningful engagement. And so, y'all, another Hot Takes podcast episode based on my dissertation work in organizational leadership. This is meaningful work, folks. Let's lean in. And so until next time, lead with humility, openness, and transparency. Lead well, be well. We'll see you all soon.